إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت، بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وقائدنا ومعلمنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة، وتركنا على محجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد، يا معشر الأحباب، لقد انتشر في زماننا هذا أمر شديد الخطورة لا نلقي له بالا ولا نهتم به. إنه يدمر النفوس ويدنس القلوب، وكثير من المشاكل العائلية بسببه. انتشر كثيرا بين الناس لسهولة وصوله إلى يد أي إنسان صغيرا كان أو كبيرا من خلال النت وعبر الأجهزة الإلكترونية. إنه باختصار ذنوب الخلوات. فما هي ذنوب الخلوات؟ وكيف نحسن أنفسنا ونحفظ بيوتنا منها؟ هذا هو حديثنا اليوم بإذن الله تعالى. All praise is due to Allah. We seek His guidance, His mercy, His blessings, His forgiveness. And we seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and from the evil of our actions. Whomsoever Allah guides, there is no one to lead astray. And whomsoever Allah leaves to go astray, there is no one to guide. I bear witness there is no one worthy of worship except Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is His servant and His messenger. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and upon his family and his companions and all those who follow them until the last day. O you who believe, revere Allah as He should be revered, and do not die except in a state of surrender. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, in our time there has spread a matter which is of grave importance. It is a matter, in fact, that is quite dangerous. And this is a matter that we don't pay too much attention to. That it exists in our houses, but we don't necessarily consider it all that often. It is a matter that actually is detrimental to the self. It is something that is not only detrimental to the self, but it also makes our hearts impure, that it also makes our hearts full of blackness. It is something that we need to be aware of in order to protect ourselves from it, and in order to protect our families from it, in order to prevent it from happening within our own households and within ourselves. And this is something that is actually, it is easy for a person to do because of the ease in which we have access to things like the internet, or in terms of our own personal devices, smartphones and personal tablets and the like. What are we speaking of here? We're speaking of what is called in Arabic dhunub al-khalawat. Dhunub al-khalawat can refer to, or can be translated as, the sins that a person does in secrecy. The sins that a person does when they're by themselves, when they're alone or when they're in privacy. This is something that is quite dangerous, and it can affect anyone from within our community, big or small, young or old, male, female. It actually has an impact on many of the people within our community. And so we want to reflect today in terms of understanding what these sins are and how we can protect ourselves and how we can protect our families from them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَيْبِ لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَأَجْرٌ كَبِيرٌ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed those who have khashya, and khashya refers to a fear alongside reverence, alongside awe. That it is khawfun mashubun bi'azamah, khawfun mashubun bi'ta'zim or mahabatan, that it is fear that is also with reverence or awe. This is khashya. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, those who fear their Lord, who have this khashya, unseen, bil-ghayb. What does that refer to? يَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَيْبِ, that they have fear of their Lord in the unseen. What's their reward? لَهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ وَأَجْرٌ كَبِيرٌ. That they have forgiveness from their Lord and a great, they have forgiveness from their Lord and a great reward. Imam Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, he says in his tafsir, يقول تعالى مخبرا عمن يخاف مقام ربه فيما بينه وبينه إذا كان غائبا عن الناس فينكف عن المعاصي ويقوم بالطاعات حيث لا يراه أحد إلا الله بأنه له مغفرة وأجر كبير، أي يكفر عنه ذنوبه ويجازى بالثواب الجزيل كما ثبت في الصحيحين 7 يظلهم الله تعالى في ظل عرشه يوم لا ظل إلا ظله. فذكر منهم رجلا دعته امرأة ذات منصب وجمال فقال إني أخاف الله، ورجلا تصدق بصدقة فأخفاها حتى لا تعلم شماله ما تنفق يمينه، ورجل ذكر الله خاليا ففاضت عيناه. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah says that Allah tells us regarding this verse, in this verse, that the one who has a fear of the station of their Lord, that they have an awareness of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what is between the servant and his Lord, what is between you and between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they are outside of the view of people, when they are not amongst people, when they're by themselves. And so then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the one who withholds from committing sins in that state of being alone or being in privacy, the one who refrains from committing any types of sins, and then he does ta'at, he does acts of obedience, that in terms of nobody sees you. So it's not for the sake of showing off, it's not for the sake of showing to other people that, oh, look at what I can do in terms of my ibadah, etc. It's not about that. There's sincerity in it. Why? Because you're not in front of anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so then you withhold from doing acts of ma'asi, and then you do acts of obedience. What's the reward? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then will remove your sins, and that He will grant you the best and the greatest of reward, the most complete and perfected of reward. And this is mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that is in Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari, of the 7 people who will be shaded by the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, on a day in which there is no shade except the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so amongst these people, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that a man who was invited by a woman to commit ma'asi, and that she was beautiful and that she had a position, a high position, and then he refused to say, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inni akhafullah, that he refuses. Another is the one who gives sadaqah, So much so that he does so in privacy or in secrecy, that such that his left hand does not know what his right hand has given. And then another is somebody who remains in the privacy and he remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that his eyes become full of tears, that he weeps out of the khashya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when in seclusion. That a person who's in seclusion and they reflect and they think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that then their eyes become full of tears. And so this is to show or to indicate the great reward of an individual, that when you're by yourself and that you have this khashya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that you remember Allah and you refrain from doing sin. Because it's so easy to slip into that realm. It could be at the click of a button. It could be just with whatever that it is that a person does. That imagine if there was somebody that was watching you, would you still be doing the same thing that you're doing when you're by yourself? And so this is the state that many people will find ourselves in. And so then we need to be vigilant of what we're doing in that state. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, إِنَّمَا تُنذِرُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ الذِّكْرَ وَخَشِيَ الرَّحْمَنَ بِالْغَيْبِ فَبَشِّرْهُ بِمَغْفِرَةٍ وَأَجْرٍ كَرِيمٍ. That you can only warn those who will follow the dhikr, the reminder, the Quran, and has khashya of Allah, has fear with reverence of the most merciful unseen. So give such one glad tidings of forgiveness and a generous reward. And so what does it mean to have khashya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bil-ghayb? It means that a person is aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that even though he is not in the presence of people, that he still has that awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's about withholding from doing sins in that state of seclusion and in that state of privacy. في سنن ابن ماجه عن ثوبان عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال لأعلمن أقواما أو لأعلمن أقواما من أمتي يأتون يوم القيامة بحسنات أمثال جبال تهامة بيضا فيجعلها الله عز وجل هباء منثورا. This is a very powerful hadith, and we need to reflect deeply on this. It's related in the Sunnah of Ibn Majah. That Thawban, radiallahu anhu, he said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I certainly know from my ummah a people, that there are a people that I know of them from my ummah who will come on the day of resurrection with good deeds that are like the mountains of Tihama. Like the mountains of Tihama. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them scattered dust. So with all of these hasanat that they come with, and they become haba'an manthura, just like scattered dust. Who are these people? And so then the Prophet ﷺ, he was asked that. Thawban, قال Thawban, Ya Rasulullah, صفهم لنا, جلهم لنا, and لا نكون منهم. So Thawban, he says, Ya Rasulullah, describe them to us. Who are they? What are their characteristics? So that we're not of them. So that we don't become like them, or we're not of them. And so then he said, وَنَحْنُ لَا نَعْلَمُ, and even so that we don't become of them without us even knowing it. Because we could fall into something without you even knowing it. فَقَالَ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم أَمَا إِنَّهُمْ إِخْوَانُكُمْ وَمِنْ جِلْدَتِكُمْ أي من جنسكم ويأخذون من الليل كما تأخذون ولكنهم أقوام إذا خلوا بمحارم الله انتهكوها. That the Prophet ﷺ, he said, they are your brothers from amongst your kind. In other words, min jiddatikum min jinsikum, that meaning that they're amongst you. They're the brothers and sisters that you see amongst you. They're amongst you. And so then he said, but there are people who, when they are alone, they take their portion of the night. So they'll still do certain things in terms of salah and doing acts of worship in privacy at night. But when they're alone, they transgress the boundaries, the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the danger. And so the Prophet ﷺ is saying of these people who come on the day of judgment, who will have mountains of hasanat, that they become like scattered dust. So even though they take their portion of worship at night as you do. Even though they do that, but there's still that other element that exists within them, that other aspect that exists, that when they are people, when they're alone, they transgress the limits and the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we have to be very careful and aware. This is a very stern warning of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to avoid doing these types of things, that when you think that no one is watching you, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. This is related to a story that happened in the time of the companions, in the time of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with the companions. And it's related to the following verse. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَيَبْلُوَنَّكُمُ اللَّهُ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الصَّيْدِ تَنَالُهُ أَيْدِيكُمْ وَرِمَاحُكُمْ لِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَخَافُهُ بِالْغَيْبِ فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. عن مقاتل ابن حيان أنزلت هذه الآية في عمرة الحديبية، فكانت الوحش والطير والصيد تغشاهم في رحالهم، لم يروا مثله قط فيما خلا، فنهاهم الله عن قتله وهم محرمون، ليعلم الله من يخافه بالغيب. يعني أنه تعالى يبتليهم بالصيد، يغشاهم في رحالهم، يتمكنون من أخذه بالأيدي، يتمكنون من أخذه بالأيدي والرماح سرا وجهرا، ليظهر طاعة من يطيع منهم في سره وجهره، كما قال الله تعالى: إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. وقوله ها هنا فمن اعتدى بعد ذلك، قال السدي وغيره، يعني بعد هذا الإعلام والإنذار والتقدم فله عذاب أليم، أي لمخالفته أمر الله وشرعه. That Allah tells us in the Quran, O you who believe, Allah will surely test you through something of hunting, of game, animals, that your hands and your spears can reach. That Allah may make evident those who fear Him bil-ghayb, and whoever transgresses after that, for him is a painful punishment. What's the connection? What's the relationship? This story happened in the year of Al-Hudaybiyah, that when the Sahaba were going to do Umrah, and they were dressed in their ihram, and so they're heading towards Mecca. And so there was a point within the valley that they saw so many animals and so many game that was easily within their reach. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had prohibited them from gaining any, or from hunting the animals, because they were in their ihram. And so then Allah says to them in this verse, in order to test you, He was saying, you're going to be tested, and that it's right there in front of you. All you have to do is reach out and you can grab the game that's in front of you. And it's like they had been surrounded by all of these animals in order for them to test them. Because it wasn't something that they'd ever seen before, like they'd never seen. And it's like as if they're coming and gravitating toward them. And all they have to do is with their spears or with their hands, they just simply can take it. And then they have plenty of food for themselves. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was testing them. And so the idea here is that it's what is within reach. It's something that's right there in front of you. That you have your devices, you have your computer screens, you have your laptop. They're right there in front of you. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test you from that which He has prohibited. In other words, not to go in that type of direction. And so then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, and whoever transgresses after that, after knowing, after the warning, after the heed, then they have a painful punishment. So this is the understanding that we have. This is a test. It's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we don't want to fall prey to that test and that tribulation just by the click of a button with our fingers. Because it's something that's so easy to access. It's so easy, with the ease of access that we have within our household and within privacy. It's so easy to go to the haram. But it's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see who will actually fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bil-ghayb. That when they're alone, when they're in seclusion, will they have this reverent fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and withhold and refrain themselves from committing these dhunub al-khalawat, these sins within seclusion. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى: وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد هذا ما توعدون لكل أواب حفيظ من خشي الرحمن بالغيب وجاء بقلب منيب ادخلوها بسلام ذلك يوم الخلود. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran how on the day of judgment paradise is going to be brought near for the righteous, and that it will be said, this is what you were promised, this is the reward that you get for every returner to Allah. So the awab is the one who constantly is thinking and turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the awab. And the hafiz is the one who guards themselves, that they're constantly keeping their covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they're hafiz, that they're guarding that agreement, that covenant that they made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that whoever has khashya of Ar-Rahman, of the most merciful, bil-ghayb, unseen, and then he comes with a penitent heart. وَجَاءَ بِقَلْبٍ مُنِيبٍ, a heart that always is turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in repentance. This is the state that we need to be in. This is the state that we need to be in. It will be said to them, "Udkhuluha bisalam," that enter into it in peace. This is the day of eternity. This is the beginning of eternity. And so how is it that we can protect ourselves when we're in that state, when we're alone? What is it that we can do to protect ourselves? Well, the first thing is that if this is something that is happening now, you have to stop. If it's something that people are involved in or engaged in right now, you must stop. It's obligatory. It's wajib. You have to stop doing this and turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in tawbah. You have to stop. And so then, what is it that you can do in terms of stopping yourself if you're afflicted with this tribulation, if you're affected or afflicted with this tribulation, is to turn to Allah with sincerity and ask Allah from the bottom of your heart to help you to get away from these types of dhunub, from these types of sins. And so that you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your abject need, in terms of you completely humble yourself before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and turn to Him. If it's not something that is happening, then we have to take the preventative. We have to prevent these things from happening in the first place. The first thing that we need to do is have muraqabat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be aware, is to have knowledge. Allah sees everything that we do. I mean, when we have these devices, these cell phones, and we're using them to videotape all of these different events that are happening in our life, that's a sign for us that our lives are actually being recorded. Our lives are actually being recorded. Imam al-Awza'i, who was a scholar from the 2nd century of the Hijrah, he said that on the day of judgment, our lives will be played out before us moment for moment. Our lives will be played out before us moment for moment. And he's living in the 2nd century. They don't have a frame of reference to understand what it means to have our entire life recorded. They don't have a frame of reference in terms of understanding video and audio, and that you have that capacity to record every waking moment. And people do that. That's a sign for us in our time. We have that frame of reference to understand how every single moment of our life is in fact being recorded. Every single moment, everything that we do is being recorded. but it's being recorded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's being recorded by the angels, Raqibun Atid, who are on our shoulders, and they're writing down everything that we're doing. They're writing down our intentions. It's all being recorded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're going to see it. Every moment of it, we're going to see it again before us on the Day of Judgment. And so, وَتَخْشَى النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ أَحَقُّ أَن تَخْشَى. That you have fear of people, but Allah has more right to be feared. This is what we have to have within ourselves. Muraqabah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To know that everything is being recorded. And the second thing that we need to do is to be able to read and contemplate the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To bring us into that state of awareness. To understand the reality that we face before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment. And the third is to increase in our worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in secrecy and in privacy and in seclusion. That when we are alone, nobody's around us, we become aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we read more Quran, and we do dhikr, and we do prayer, and istighfar. All of these things in seclusion, in privacy. We need to increase in that. In the middle of the night, nobody's around, nobody hears you, Allah hears you, Allah sees you. This is something that we need to do in order to prevent these types of things from happening. So that instead of doing the sin, then you do that which is ta'ah. One of the righteous, they said, ذنوب الخلوات هي أصل الانتكاسات وعبادة الخفاء هي أعظم أصل الثبات. That these sins that are done in privacy, it's actually the cause of every single relapse. That when people, they go back into a sin, that's the cause of it. It's the foundation or the cause is doing things, sins in privacy. And then doing acts of worship in privacy is the foundation for having thabat, for having firmness in terms of your deen and in your foundation. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us firmness in our hearts and in our actions, and that we always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, aware of His presence, His presence at all times and in all places. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما كثيرا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا ربنا سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان وانصرهم في مشارق الأرض وفي مغاربها يا رب العالمين اللهم احفظ دماء المسلمين في مشارق الأرض وفي مغاربها اللهم ارفع البلاء والبأس والكرب والظلم والفتن والقتل عن أمة نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم والطف بنا وبجميع المسلمين بلطفك يا أرحم الراحمين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروا على نعمه يزدكم وذكر الله أكبر الله يعلم